Hey, blessings. Welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Um, Man, let me get my screen over. Totally did not get ready for this one. Today we're in Exodus 39 and 40. We're in the last two books of Exodus. And in honor of this ending of Exodus, not really, but had to wear my uh, local chapter's FCPO shirt. Shout out to DFW area, FCPO. Blessings to you guys. So Exodus 39, just a really good read today as we finish up Exodus, and a good way to finish for us, and we'll talk about that. But the ephod, chapter 39 starts out talking about the ephod. The ephod was part of the priestly uniform. And it is very specific when it lays out how it was supposed to be made and what it was supposed to entail. And I will tell you, it is supposed to be made out of blue and, man, I had some purple here. What did I do with my purple? Oh, it's supposed to be made out of blue and purple linens. So anyway, just like some of the law enforcement uniforms, some cops, they will wear the blue, powder blue or dark blue or whatever. But the uniform was very specific, and just like law enforcement today, our uniforms are very specific. Now, they are changing quite a bit, but I'll tell you, when I got into law enforcement in 1990, we had a very specific uniform, and I mean, it had to be crisp and clean. Everybody wore, well, officers wore the blue pants with the yellow piping down it. Supervisors had more of a black line. It was like a tuxedo pant, basically. But I mean, we had the collar brass that said DPD, Dallas PD. We had the shiny silver buttons. I mean, it was very pristine, a very good-looking, sharp, professional image that we were to portray. And our uniforms were supposed to convey that. We're supposed to keep everything really clean, dry clean, crisp, all the time. So when I was reading about the importance of this ephod and this priestly uniform, it really brought to mind how important the uniform really is. You know, and I don't want to beat a dead horse because we've talked about this, and we'll talk about it again in the future. But wearing the badge, which I got my badge on. You know, wearing a badge is a symbol that sets you apart, and it has very specific things on it that identify you as part of a department. I mean, you're part of a group, and it lets everybody know that you're a part of that group. As law enforcement, like I said, I believe, and most of y'all believe, we're set apart to do this job. And the priests were Levites, and they were specifically set apart to do their job. So we talk about this ephod and read it in God's Word, and then it jumps down to the breastplate. And the breastplate was in the center of the ephod, kind of like what our badge is, except it's not completely in the center, but the ephod was in the center of the chest, or the breastplate. But it had 12 stones in it, all 12 different stones, and each stone had the name of one of the tribes of Israel on it. So the tribes of Israel were always represented when the priest went in and made sacrifices. Just a really cool picture and a thought and how it equates to us today. It goes on and it talks about some of the other objects on the priestly garment. It talks about the bells. And the bells are really interesting at the bottom of the priest's uniform, because when a priest would go in to the Holy of Holies, only one person could go in once a year. That's how holy the Holy of Holies was. And this one person was the representative for all Israel. And he went in and made sacrifice and atonement for all of Israel. He represented everyone. And there was this thought of, if he dies in there, nobody can go in and get him. So they put bells on to make sure he was still moving around and he was still okay, because he could be in there for hours. And I think we even read later on that there's a rope tied to the back of him. So if he passes out or faints or whatever, if he did die in there, they could pull him out by the rope and not have to actually go in the Holy of Holies. So, but really cool stuff today. Then we get towards the end. we see that the tabernacle is set up and built so that it can be mobile and move from one place to the other. And God goes with them wherever they go. When they set it up, He's there. When they get ready to pack it up and move, He's there. He's always with them. For us as law enforcement, this is a noble profession. Don't ever let anybody tell you it's not. But this is not the greatest thing. Being a child of the living God is the greatest thing. So let's not miss that. That's what we're here for, to worship and glorify God through His Son, Jesus Christ, obviously. Tomorrow we're jumping into Leviticus. We're going to be in chapter 1, and we're going to read all the way through chapter 5. Don't finish 5. Read up to chapter 5, verse 13, and stop there. But come back read up and ready to go. And until then, you guys be safe.